Hello and welcome to Matt Loves Eurovision. It's my Eurovision 2024 Top 37 countdown. It's place number 14, Serbia, Teya Dora, Ramonda. Please do click the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, like, share and comment below. You'll find a link to the music video in the description below and a link to my blog post. Now, with Montenegro and North Macedonia still not yet returning to Eurovision and Bosnia under a long-term absence, we're still down to just a trio of Balkan or former Yugoslav countries at the contest. And Serbia has been the most successful and consistent of those countries. As Serbia and Montenegro, they had two top finishers out of two entries, including one which was a runners-up spot. And as Serbia alone, they won on their debut and have since been a nearly perennial fixture in the grand final, with only 3 non-qualifications in that time. Now, last year's 24th place in the grand final was their weakest placing so far in the grand final. So can Teodora push Serbia back up the placings, provided she qualifies, of course? Now, Teodora is a singer, songwriter and producer. She attended music school in Belgrade and after that gained a scholarship to study at the Berklee College of Music in Boston, which is a very prestigious music school. After graduating there, she worked in New York for a time as a songwriter, and it's from her time in the US that her artist name stems from. Her actual name is Teodora, but I think they had some trouble over there, so she kind of changed it or used Teya Dora, or was used kind of how they pronounced it to make her artist name, which is kind of cool. She returned to Serbia in 2018, spent quite a bit of time there now as a prolific songwriter and composer, as well as releasing a number of singles of her own, one of which that went viral on TikTok. That song was the most streamed song in the Balkans at the time, and she's also been the most streamed artist on Spotify in that region as well recently. She won the Serbian national final with Ramonda, for which she is the co-writer and the co-composer. She won the jury vote and was second in the public vote. Now, Ramonda is a beautiful and haunting ballad, and it's obviously only one of a handful of ballads in this contest. It's all in Serbian, but I don't think you need to know the lyrics necessarily to get the feel of the song. It's very melancholic, sort of reflective, but with a sense of hope. And the titular Ramonda is actually a flower, or Natalie's Ramonda, that is deeply resonant to Serbians. It's native to that region, to Serbia and the surrounding area, and the feature of the plant, of the flower, is that it has remarkable power to recover from kind of really harsh conditions and come back to flourish and flower again. And so it's used as a remembrance symbol for the loss and resilience of Serbia in the First World War, where they lost a great proportion of their military and civilian population than any other country. And it's about the rebirth of their country and the aftermath of that kind of loss that they had. Now, Teya has said that the song is not necessarily kind of a reflective, patriotic remembrance song, though it could be, but it could cover remembrance and loss and recovery from a personal loss or trauma as much as it being about Serbia itself. This has scored well in the Eurovision scoreboard app. It's kept a firm place in the top 15, and it's also doing well if you just look at the semi-final only as well. So all looking good from a qualifying perspective from that side of things. However, yet again, Serbia have been given a really tough running order draw. So last year, I think they were 3rd in the running order. This year, they are 2nd in the running order. In the semi-finals, kind of 2nd isn't necessarily the death spot, but 2nd and 3rd do tend to be the least qualified from spots, and so Serbia's had this now for about 3 years in a row, I think. And I think the betting odds, which are not quite as positive, but still okay, are not quite as positive as the scoreboard app would suggest, and I think that comes based off this running order. Certainly, but there's still an expectation that Serbia will qualify, because when Serbia have not qualified, it's been very, very close. Two of the times that they didn't qualify, they had finished in 11th place, and the other time they didn't qualify, they actually finished in 10th place, but they would have qualified under the current rules. But that particular year, it was just the top 9 and then a jury's choice. So they've never been very far off it. They can rely on some neighbour votes from Croatia and Slovenia, and they can also rely probably on some diaspora voting from Australia and the rest of the world vote. They're also separated from the only other kind of really arty, haunting ballad that happens also to be in this semi, which is Portugal, but that's kind of the penultimate song, whereas this is the second song. They're about as far apart as the producers could get them, I think. Now, there is a risk that if you do have lovers of this sort of ballad, this sort of more subtle and arty song, rather than the kind of much louder and crowd-pleasing kind of ones, there is a risk that Portugal might be fresher in the minds of voters, of casual voters, because in the semis, voting still takes place after all the songs have performed, and so obviously Portugal is much closer to that. I don't think it's a case that it's one or the other of these two will qualify. I think they both could qualify, or also neither of them could qualify. I think all of that is possible, but I don't think they necessarily cancel each other out because they are so far apart. But what I don't think is that all 4 of the first 4 performing songs can qualify. And I've said this in a previous one of the other videos, I think, with Cyprus, where you have Cyprus, Serbia, Lithuania and Ireland all in that first half. And then you get also Ukraine, Poland and Croatia all in that first 7 songs. I just don't think that for all of the first 4 will qualify. I think Serbia stands at least as good a chance as qualifying as 2 of those other 3 songs. I think Lithuania is a fairly certain qualifier, but I think Serbia stands as much of a chance as Cyprus and Ireland to qualify. But what do you think? Do let me know in the comments, and of course, join me again soon. Take care.